Hello, welcome once again to Lehto's Law. I'm Steve Lehto. A lot of people ask me from other countries, if I come to America to visit, what rights do I have? Do I enjoy those cool rights you talk about from the Bill of Rights? Or is that just for the citizens of the US? And I have to tell you, good news, come on over, spend your money because the Bill of Rights, for the most part, applies to visitors as well. So let's talk about this. This is a fascinating concept. Many people don't stop to think about this because if you grow up in America, you're a citizen of America, when you're here, you just take these things for granted, and most people don't stop to think about where this stuff comes from. So, in the Constitution itself, it'll often talk about persons or people, and it'll often talk about citizens, which is a distinction, okay? So, for instance, Article 1, Section 2, if you want to run for the House of Representatives, it says, no person shall be a representative who shall not have attained to the age of 25 years and been 7 years a citizen of the U.S. So, you have to be a citizen to run for the House of Representatives. Likewise, a senator must have been 9 years a citizen of the U.S. So very, very specific there. To run for office, got to be a citizen. So that's something you can't do on your vacation. But on the other hand, Article 4, Section 2 says, the citizens of each state shall be entitled to all privileges and immunities of citizens in the several states. So if I'm from Michigan, like I am, and I go to Ohio, Ohio's got to treat me legally the same way they treat me as if I'm one of their own. They might not want to think that way. That's how it is, guys. On the other hand, a person charged in any state with treason, felony, or other crime, who shall flee from justice and be found in another state, shall, on demand of the executive authority of the state from which he fled, be delivered up to be removed to the state having jurisdiction of the crime. Extradition, right? A person charged. Okay, so they're not saying you can only extradite citizens, you can extradite anybody, a person, right? So really, a lot of our rights come from the Bill of Rights, the first 10 amendments to the Constitution. So the First Amendment is the one, of course, that talks about speech and religion. Congress shall make no law respecting an establishment of religion or prohibiting the free exercise thereof or abridging the freedom of speech or of the press or of the right of the people peaceably to assemble and to petition the government for a redress of grievances. Doesn't say the right of the citizens peaceably to assemble. This is the right of the people. People. Second Amendment, a well-regulated militia being necessary to the security of a free state, the right of the people to keep and bear arms shall not be infringed. Doesn't say the right of the citizens. It says right of the people. Third, no soldier shall in time of peace be quartered in any house without the consent of the owner, nor in time of war, but in a manner to be prescribed by law. No, you'll notice it doesn't say a citizen's house. Presumably it's a person's house. Otherwise, we wouldn't call it a house. If it was a horse's house, we'd call it a barn, right? It's a dog's house, we call it a dog house. But we talk about being quartered in any house without the consent of the owner. The owner is a person, not necessarily a citizen. So let's suppose that you lived in another country and you had a home here that you kept for a vacation spot. And I've heard of that before. People in Florida, for instance, have neighbors who actually are from other countries. They bought a house in Florida. They come back and visit during those long winters in Norway. The right of the people. Fourth Amendment. The right of the people to be secure in their persons, houses, papers, and effects against unreasonable searches and seizures shall not be violated, and no warrants shall issue but upon probable cause, supported by oath or affirmation, and particularly describing the place to be searched and the persons or things to be seized. The right of the people, and later the persons or things, okay, does not say citizens. Does not say citizens. This applies to all people within the boundaries of the United States. So that's the fourth. And then, of course, the fifth is one we often talk about here. No person shall be held to answer for a capital or otherwise infamous crime unless on a presentment or indictment of a grand jury, except in cases arising in the land or naval forces or in the militia, when in actual service of war or public danger, nor shall any person be subject for the same offense be twice put in jeopardy of life or limb. That's double jeopardy. Nor shall be compelled in any criminal case to be a witness against himself, nor be deprived of life, liberty, or property without due process of law, nor shall private property be taken for public use without just compensation. Again, repeated references to person. No person shall, okay? Nor shall any person. And we're referring to people. And this is one of the things that non-lawyers don't stop to think about quite as much as lawyers do. But in law school, whether you're a student and you learn it or you're a professor and you teach it, statutes are actually written fairly carefully. the people drafting them, if they're doing their job right, draft them carefully. And they pick their words carefully. And words have meanings. Words have very specific meanings. And so if a statute says something and there's a very specific word for it, and the word person, we know what a person is, right? If you say, well, but obviously they're referring to citizens there. Well, they could have said citizen. They said citizen in a couple other sections on different topics. They clearly knew what the word citizen meant. They chose the word person. If they wanted to have said citizen, they would have said so. So I've had people tell me, they go, Steve, this obviously applies to American citizens. Yeah, it does, along with all the other people within our borders. So it applies to visitors and vacationers. Like I said, I had a guy last week say, Steve, I'm in Canada. I'm in Canada, and watching your videos leads me to believe there's all kinds of crazy stuff happening down there. I said, no, my video is just the tip of an iceberg. A very strange iceberg, but it's a tip nonetheless. Speaking of icebergs, I digress. The point is that this stuff all applies to persons within the boundaries of the United States. And then I'll get to the number 6 here, rights of accused. In all criminal prosecutions, the accused shall enjoy the right to a speedy and public trial by an impartial jury of the state and district wherein the crime shall have been committed, which district shall have been previously ascertained by law, and to be informed of the nature and cause of the accusation, to be confronted with the witnesses against him, to have compulsory process for obtaining witnesses in his favor, and have the assistance of counsel for his defense. And again, no reference there to citizens or persons, just the accused. So if you're accused, guess what? This applies to you if you're in America. So again, the Bill of Rights in particular addresses persons over and over again. So all of these rights pertain to the persons who are here, whether on vacation or otherwise. And like I said, the citizens, that affects things like whether you can run for office, how you can vote, and other things of that nature. But generally speaking, the rights that people have in America apply equally as much to persons who are here, regardless of how they got here, what they're doing here. And so, with respect to my friend from Canada or my dear friends in Australia, if you ever make it to our fine shores, once here, you will have all of the rights that I just spelled out for you as a person traveling within our borders. And by the way, if you come to the Michigan area, shoot me a note. I'll give you a tour. Questions or comments, put them below. Otherwise, talk to you later. Bye-bye.